So today I'm a coach. I call myself Bottleneck Coach. Empower entrepreneurs to thrive again when they become the bottleneck in their business. Honestly, if I was waiting to be motivated to work out, I would never go.
Hey, it's your host, Michael Dargie. I interview a lot of people on the show, but since 2006, my creative agency has been helping artists, entrepreneurs, and businesses like yours find, shape, and share your story so everyone gets it. In April 2025, my first book is being released that goes through the method I use called Branjitsu. No, there's no fighting. It's not that kind of jitsu, but there is a really great and cheesy metaphor. Visit branjitsu.com, join the list for my book, Branjitsu, Move Your Brand from Meh to Memorable. In this episode, Laurent Notin shares his inspiring story to becoming the Bottleneck Coach. He explains how entrepreneurs can break through the obstacles and bottlenecks that are holding them back, and why discipline is much more important than motivation. Please welcome Laurent Notin to the RebelRebel Podcast. Welcome to the RebelRebel. I'm your host, Michael Dargie, and all the way around the world. Right by, you are in like one of the coolest parts of the world. You're in Finland. Welcome to the show, Laurent Notin.
Thank you. It's a cool part of the world, but I have to say, I'm French.
Yeah.
It's a very extreme part of the world. You know,
That's
everything here is extreme.
But the Finns are such lovely people, and such a beautiful part of the world, isn't it?
Yes. It's right now. It's summer. I look at the sun right now outside. It's beautiful. I mean, Finland is summer. If you come to Finland in summer, you'd love it.
Yeah.
But the days are really, really long. So I live in Helsinki. We do have a little bit of darkness, but all the way up to the north, they don't see the night for another 2 months, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's the exact opposite in winter.
Yeah. Tough. So, okay. So Laurent, let's start here. What is it that you're up to right now, in your life, in your professional life? And then what I'd like to do is sort of go back in time and figure out how you, came from France to Finland.
Okay.
Or not. I don't know. Maybe you zigged and zagged. I don't know.
So today I'm a coach. I call myself the Bottleneck Coach. Sorry.
Okay.
And so basically, I empower entrepreneurs to thrive again when they become the bottleneck in their business.
I'm familiar with this bottleneck.
Have you experienced this in the past?
Bottleneck.
Yes. The bottleneck is very strong with entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So I guess I don't want to know quite yet how you got here, but what is it that you do to uncork people, I guess, or to clear the bottleneck?
Sure. So my approach is quite straightforward. The people who come to me first are those entrepreneurs who have already been they've done some self-experimentation, right? Because we all go through that phase of self-experimenting. But still they're like, it's not working. Guys, so now they come to a point where, maybe there's a coach over there. Maybe I should try that. Because it takes a little bit of courage to decide that you need external help, and also to sit on your ego. And the ego with entrepreneurs is like the bottleneck is quite strong.
Weird.
So when they come to me, the first thing we will do is that we'll have what I call an impact assessment call. So basically, we'll go through a series of questions that I've developed to better understand their bottlenecks. And then also we will assess the potential impact on the business, because some of the bottlenecks can have a dramatic impact up to the way to killing your business. And from there, if they agree to go into a coaching relationship with me, we'll engage into a relation of around 6 months in general, and then we'll work on what I call key success indicators. Basically, not objectives, but more like beacons, just to make sure that we track progress. Coaching is a lot about progressing and getting results. So that's why we define key success indicators.
Cool.
and then we'll meet on a regular basis, usually every other week. And this is where I will play my magic and ask a lot of questions. So that's what I like. That's what I like about being a coach. That's what I always said about my clients is, my job is I don't do anything. You do all the work. I ask the questions. You do the work.
Wow, sweet deal, Laurent.
Yes.
Where do I sign up? I want some of this. So okay, so this is very cool. But and I guess
Yeah.
the thing that I desperately want to know is
Yes.
like what brought you here. So what happened to Laurent along the way that made
Oof.
you do this as opposed to that?
So I left France 25 years ago. I'm 48 today. I spent 20 years in Southeast Asia
Oh, cool.
before moving to Finland 4 years
Yep.
ago. And Finland is because my wife is from Finland. So, but when I was in Asia in Cambodia, and I was reaching the age of 40, I was like running an advertising company, but that was not my company. I had some
Yeah.
shares. I was a minority shareholder in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I don't do anything right now, I will never do it. I will never, dare to launch and start my own entrepreneurial journey.
Right.
You need to understand that I've always been surrounded by entrepreneurs. My friends are entrepreneurs. I've always worked for entrepreneurs. My father was an entrepreneur, so I know entrepreneurs. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And it took me, 18 years total to get to that point.
Yeah.
And then it took me another year to really think about what is it that I wanted to do. And ask myself some very basic questions like, what is it that I'm good at? And what is it that I really enjoy? And I discovered that what was really, what was making me thrill was uh, training the staff, mentoring them, giving advice, and coaching people. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna become a coach because it makes sense, and entrepreneurs because I understand the entrepreneurial language.
Yeah.
So it just made sense. Plus, also another point that was very important is that I come to the realization that I love helping others. I just can't help it. So that's why I'm a coach.
That's awesome. So let's travel further back. What brought you to Cambodia?
Oh, so that was my ex-partner.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right.
So I was in France. I was 23 or something. I had just finished my military service after my school.
Yeah.
I was not comfortable. I was completely immature. I couldn't find a job. And she got a job for 9 months in Laos. And I said, right, let's go. I don't care. I've nothing. Let's go there.
Right on.
And that's what happened. We went there initially for 9 months.
Yeah.
We spent 7 years in Laos, and then moved to Cambodia, where I found a job. I was literally offered a position to run a market research agency in Cambodia.
Yeah.
So this is the type of decision you're like, let me think. Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, and then moved to Cambodia. Did 1 year or so in Vietnam, and I spent in total in Cambodia, I think, 13 years. Something like
Wow.
that. Yes.
Did you, well, I get seems like a logical place because there's lots of French in Vietnam. Did you learn
Yeah,
Vietnamese while you were there?
sorry.
Did you learn Vietnamese while you were there?
Well, I used to speak a little bit of Laotian because I didn't really have the choice when you were in Laos. That was back in 1999.
Yeah.
And you have to imagine, like, I went to a country that they had no roads, like with asphalt,
Wow.
back in 1999. And so we had to learn a little bit the language
Yeah.
to communicate with locals, order food and stuff like that. But when I moved to Cambodia, they speak Khmer. Everybody, at least in Phnom Penh, in the city of Phnom Penh, everybody would speak English. So I was very, very lazy, and I didn't learn the language. And most of it's bad. If you can just learn the language,
yeah,
when you
for
move
sure.
into a country that is not yours. But I always made excuses telling you that everybody speaks English, and at work I was speaking English. The truth is, I had no incentive in learning
Yeah,
the language,
that's
which is
fair.
why I didn't do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Tell me about Laurent as a kid.
as a
What sort
kid,
of what kind of trouble did you get into?
I was kind of didn't have any. I was not a rebel as a kid, if it's that
Okay.
is your question. I was like,
No, I didn't assume that you were.
no,
I'm always curious, like what's life like in France? I've never been to France.
yeah. I mean, it was easy. I come from a family, middle class plus
Hmm.
family, so was easy. We had everything, all the comfort, but I was really really shy. I was a really shy kid,
Yeah.
teenager. Uh, I had I barely had friends um, until high school, until the age of 16 or 17, and then I went into the opposite. I partied all the time, and it was from one extreme to the other,
Wow.
basically.
That's wild. What what do you do just for Laurent? Like what's a guilty pleasure for you? Like when you just need to, I don't know, recharge or get your mojo back?
So my uh, hobby is CrossFit. I'm a big CrossFit enthusiast. I started
Like tires and stuff like
yeah, yeah.
okay.
Tires are fun. They're really difficult. They're really difficult to lift sometimes. Um, it's I started like 10 years ago. It literally changed my life. I'm sure you've heard like people talking about CrossFit
Sure,
saying
yeah.
that it changed their life. It did. It actually changed my life. It saved me from a burnout. I stopped partying. I changed my diet because I wanted to perform better. It improved my sleep. I met
Uh-huh.
my wife at CrossFit. Like it's completely changed my life.
Wow.
But it's not a guilty pleasure. It's more like I have to do it. It's a must do. It's
Yeah.
my way of relieving the stress. My
Very cool.
guilty pleasure is food.
Yeah.
I've always been like in French we have a word. It's called we say gourmand. Is someone who enjoys food and who
Yeah.
enjoys quality food, especially sweet stuff. I've always had like a thing for sweet candies,
Uh-huh.
chocolate, and in Finland they have really good
Oh yeah.
chocolate. Candies in Finland they have like licorice. I love licorice. Oh, those licorice candies! Once I open a pack, poof, it's gone. And ice cream. It's the ice cream season. Licorice ice cream, of course, and there is one in particular that that is a killer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ice cream season.
Yes.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, Finnish people are love ice cream
Yeah.
in winter also, but especially in summertime.
Oh, gotcha. Because it's warm
Yeah,
outside. It's ice cream season. It's not like the cows like come into. You can only
no,
milk them. Okay.
yeah,
All right. All right. All right. I'm like,
yeah.
it's like you can only get peaches at certain times of the year here in Canada, so that's peach season.
No,
Ice
no,
cream
no.
season was just
Yeah.
weird to me.
Yes.
Very cool. Okay, so like, what do you do? A lot of walking in Helsinki?
Walking
Yeah.
as much as I can. Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
And is there
Especially
like,
especially around the city because there's a lot of nature. Helsinki is very much like a green city.
yeah,
There's huge parks, forests everywhere. Like right next, I can see trees,
yeah.
and there's a small hill right next to where I live, with a small path where I can walk the dog. So I walk as much as I can. Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you're out there walking the dogs,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful, yeah, it's a sunny day in
Yeah.
Helsinki. The birds are chirping,
Yeah.
the dog is sniffing stuff, and maybe I don't know. You finished a workout and you're feeling pretty good.
Hmm.
As you're walking along, what is the one thing that you wish the world knew?
Wow, what a deep question.
I know. Yeah, I'd just go right for the throat. So yeah, and it could be anything. It could be like licorice ice cream is the most important ice cream. That could be your thing. That could be your gift to the world, and it doesn't have to be anything more than that.
As a coach, I think I want to say that people should understand better the power of knowing oneself.
What does that mean?
I did a lot of introspection myself for 10 years. So the introspection is the ability to go down deep down in you and to recognize and learn about your emotions.
Yeah.
Right? We are as human, it's very difficult for us to control our emotions, right? And we tend to react very quickly based on different situations, positively or negatively. That has to do also with us when we, in prehistoric time, our brain is wired a certain way to alert us from danger, for instance, which is great.
Yeah.
Now the problem is with that is that when you let your emotions do the talking, you're not in control, and it can cause a lot of problems, such as wars, for instance. But if I'm not talking about wars in everyday life, it would cause road rage. You see a lot of drivers
Sure. Yeah.
getting angry for nothing. Knowing yourself will enable you to understand what sort of emotions are at play within yourself. Recognize them so that you are able to control them. You can't control the way you can't control your emotions, but you can always control the way you react to an emotion.
Oh.
And I wish people understood that a lot more.
Yeah, you had mentioned from a business or entrepreneur, from coaching perspective, this was
Yeah.
what you wish that people knew, but there's a crossover, isn't there? Like,
Absolutely, absolutely. It's for everybody.
yeah, I think that's really cool. Because yeah, you're right. You can't necessarily control or regulate your emotions, but how you react to it, I think,
Yeah.
is because we get caught up in that quite a lot. And I don't know. Do you have any tips or tricks for when you recognize when you're in a bad place
Yeah.
to pull the ripcord and be like, time out?
Yeah, I can give you an example based on me.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm tired, my imposter syndrome is quite active, and it creates a lot of not frustrations, but I feel down.
Yeah.
I'm asking myself all these questions: why the heck nobody cares? Etc. Etc. Etc.
Yeah.
And what I come to realize is, and it's true with most emotions, is that there's always like a physical reaction in your body. Always. Sometimes your body even reacts before you feel the emotion. But what I've come to realize, for instance, with the imposter syndrome, is that uh, as soon if I'm sitting, for example, if I let my imposter syndrome talks to me, I would come, claw down, like a shell,
Yeah.
and I would go like small and small, make myself smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. I want to go back into my fetus position, if it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the day I realized that, and I recognize the physical symptoms, the only thing I need to do is just, if I'm sitting, is just to put my shoulders back up and stand straight, and it's gone.
What?
Yes.
That is cool.
It's gone. Well, sorry, it's not gone. It
Yeah.
is there, but I have managed to silence it, not to listen to it. And you can do that. It applies to most of the situations. Anger, for instance, for me, it comes from my guts, and I feel it coming from my guts and coming up, 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 and suddenly it will come to my face. My face is red, and then I spit words, and it's too late. When I reach that stage, there's nothing I can do to control it. It's too late.
Right. Yeah.
So I need to be able to recognize the symptoms before. As soon as I feel it in my guts, well, I need to do something to stop it. Maybe it's just to stop the conversation and say, sorry, I can't talk right now. I'm gonna get angry. Maybe it's shouting, whatever. Find your own medicine,
Right.
just to to stop that emotion.
That is super cool. That's great. Okay, that's awesome. That's a wonderful takeaway. I appreciate that.
Cool.
That's great. Do you read a lot, or you?
I try to. I used to read a bit more, but it's part of my job is it's to educate myself so that I can better advise my clients. So I read a lot about business books and non-business
Okay.
books. Watch videos, read articles, stuff like that. Yes.
Do you have any sort of must reads or things that you are like, oh, this is the Bible to me?
Yeah. Actually, I'm finishing it right now. It's I got it behind me.
Yeah.
I can show it to you. I don't know if you record the video too.
Oh yeah.
This one, Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0 by Jim Collins and Bill Lazier. Amazing. Every entrepreneur, every CEO should read it. It's amazing.
Interesting. Yeah.
It gives you basically it gives you how to be successful running a business, and it's very well structured, very practical. It's based on years and years and years and years of research. It's amazing book. An
All
amazing.
right. Okay, that's one's coming on the shelf.
Yeah, you should read it. Yeah,
Right
definitely.
on. And what about you? Like,
Yeah.
what is the? I mean, you've got an ebook, right?
Yes.
And I'll put links in the show notes for
Yep.
people. But talk to me a little bit about that, like because you're putting stuff out into the world.
Yes. So thank you for making my promotion. my ebook is called Thrive 8 Practical Tactics to Thrive as an Entrepreneur. So that's basically that basically it's the title says everything, but it's really based on. I used to have a podcast. I interviewed more than 150 entrepreneurs on it. So it's based on all my discussions with those entrepreneurs.
Awesome.
Kind of try to get the most important elements of running a business to avoid being the bottleneck in the business.
Yeah. So can you give me, like, you don't have to give me the top
Yeah.
ones, because you got to save that for the people to get the book. But what are some of the bottlenecks that you see and the ways to get out of them?
I mean, the one that keeps on coming over and over and over again, especially as the business grows, is the fact that entrepreneurs do not evolve their role as the business grows.
How do you mean?
So running, when you start at the beginning,
Yeah.
you do basically everything yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
All of it.
Or with your co-founders, if you have co-founders.
Yeah.
But as the business grows, you start hiring people, etc. The company changes, the environment changes. You get people on board. You have to implement some processes. You cannot run a company with 10, 20, 50, 100 staff and more the way you run a company with no staff.
Right.
Right? So what is really important that you do is, as the business grows, you should detach yourself more and more from operations or operational tasks.
Yeah.
Let people you hire do that for you, so that you can focus on what your job becomes, which is more and more strategic thinking and focusing on people,
Interesting.
helping them grow. Making sure that you remove all the obstacles for them.
Yeah.
And that is the number one bottleneck.
What about perfectionism?
Oh, that's a good one too. That's a good one too, because it leads you to never really do anything. For instance, you have this idea in mind, this product, but you want to make it perfect until you launch it, but you never launch it because it's not perfect in your mind. It's very, very strong among engineers.
Mm.
I mean, founders with an engineering background.
Right.
That often comes with an ability to ask too many questions to yourself.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Cool,
Do
cool,
you have
cool.
this one?
Well, well, I'm curious because like sometimes there's like I'm an entrepreneur as well. I've got a creative agency,
Yes.
but making sure that the quality of what my people are doing is to my standard. Sometimes there's a huge difference,
Yes. So,
and
I got a
it's
story. I got a story
frustrating.
for you if you want.
Yay! I knew you
So,
would.
on that particular part.
Yeah.
So one of my clients, he was an architect. So he had a company, I think, with 10, 15 staff or 20, something like that.
Yeah.
Small company. And he hired my services because he was telling me that he wanted to grow the business, but he was stuck. He couldn't find ways. And while we started coaching, he told me that he was also in charge of all the project management with the clients. Like he was supervising all projects with all clients.
Wow.
So hopefully he knew about that. He knew that was like a bottleneck,
Yeah.
but an operational bottleneck. But that was not the real bottleneck. The real bottleneck, when we start digging, he was telling me like, oh, I do it because I love doing it. But I did not stop there because that's an excuse. I never believe what my clients tell me the first time.
Yeah.
So we continue digging. And he told me, he acknowledged that the reason why he was keeping the project management, 100% of it, was because he had spent so many years developing high quality standards that he was afraid that if he was like delegating project management to someone else,
Yeah.
the standards of quality will go down and will decrease.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the real bottleneck. So we worked on recognizing that first, and then looking at it from shifting the perspective. What if it's actually an opportunity? What if you hire someone and that person will take the standards to the next level?
Huh.
It frees up your time. Then
Yeah.
you can focus on growing the business.
Hmm. That's really good, solid advice. So on that, so because I feel like you've already shared so much already, but one of the favorite parts of the show for me
Yes.
is when I get to ask the guest what advice they would give to rebels in waiting or people about to embark on their next thing.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what advice would you give to these rebels that are about to do a thing? To whether it's be more successful, be more happy, be more whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. Like what's and again, you've given so much, so I'm a little greedy to ask. But
No,
is
it's
there
fine.
anything else that we can squeeze out of that brain of yours?
I think at one point, you were talking about striving for perfection. Perfection doesn't exist.
Mm.
Um, there's a very viral video now on Instagram about Federer. I don't know if you saw it. Roger Federer, the tennis player, who said
Oh,
that something similar, because he said like he won like 45% of his points, something like that. So which means he lost like 55% of them. So he was telling don't chase perfection,
right.
right?
Yeah.
I think it's about at one point just go do it. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be painful, but that's fine because it is part of the process. We tend to go always for the easy stuff, the low hanging fruits, because we
Yeah.
don't want to take any risk. We want to stay in our comfort zone, and then we complain about being in the comfort zone, or we criticize other people who are more successful than us. Yeah, but they dared. They did it. They knew
Yeah.
it would be hard, and that's why that's one of the reasons I continue CrossFit, because CrossFit workouts are damn hard.
Yeah.
But every time I finish one, I'm like, okay, I did it. So if I'm able to do that type of workout, I'm able to do something else. It's
Uh,
really about just go and do it. Do be brave, tackle the pain. It's in the end, it's gonna be fine.
that's great advice. Thank you. And it's one of and I guess there must be times in your life where you're just like, oh, I don't want to work out today.
Yeah.
How do you get past that?
I don't wait for motivation. Because honestly, if I was waiting to be motivated to work out or to work,
Yeah.
I would never go.
Hilarious. I heard something recently about this. It's discipline, not motivation.
Absolutely. It's consistency over intensity. So
Yeah.
when I'm not motivated, most of the time, I do it because I know the benefits of doing it to my health.
Right.
And so I try to find ways to motivate me. And for instance, when it's about CrossFit, I think in terms of how I'm going to feel after the workout.
Right.
Because every time it's that sensation of joy, accomplishment, like, that good,
You get
the
all
good
those
fatigue.
endorphins going through
Yes.
you.
Yeah. You're lying down on the floor. You're like, damn, yes. So this is what I think about. And then I'm like, okay, let's go. It's the same with work. So find your ways to be motivated, but don't wait for motivation to come to you, because you could wait forever. So if you are curious about your bottlenecks, and if you want to learn more about how to tackle them, you can always schedule a free impact assessment with me. I just log on my website. You'll find it. It's on the homepage, at the top of the homepage. And basically, it's more or less an 1 hour session. We will assess your bottlenecks through my bottleneck test. We will evaluate the impact of your bottlenecks on your business. And we will also craft a small plan of action so you can start working on and tackle your bottlenecks right on.
And on that note, Laurent Notin, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been outstanding.
Great. Thank you very much for having me, Michael.
Hey, it's me again. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you're an artist, entrepreneur, or business owner who believes your brand can be more than it is, head over to brandjitsu.com and join the list to get your copy of my book, Brand Jitsu, Move Your Brand from Meh to Memorable. I've been your host, Michael Dargie, and this has been the RebelRebel Podcast. It's a podcast for creative rebels and entrepreneurs all over the world. And hey, if you're a rebel or you know a rebel, why don't you head on over to the RebelRebelPodcast.com and fill out our guest request form. Share or subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And thanks so much for listening. Until next time.